Hey everybody, welcome to this week's nutrition video, and this is part 3 of the energy series where we're talking about optimizing mitochondrial function. So in my last video, I talked about the causes of mitochondrial dysfunction and the important role the mitochondria plays in the immune system. So if you haven't yet watched parts 1 and part 2 of this energy series, I recommend that you go back and watch them first, because I've designed this series to flow on, and if you haven't watched the first one in particular, you may not have a very good understanding of what the mitochondria is all about and why it is so important when it comes to energy production. So stop this video, go back and watch parts 1 and 2, and then you can come back and watch this video. So in today's educational video, I want to focus on the dietary approaches and also the specific nutrients that can be used to optimize your mitochondrial function and output. Now, like any dietary protocol, it's really important that we have to modify it to suit the individual, and we need to take into consideration factors such as cultural and religious beliefs, food allergies and intolerances, any form of chronic illness or disease, medication use, and also personal dislikes, as well as lifestyle and ability. So please take these recommendations with a grain of salt, because although there might be specific dietary recommendations or protocols to which you'll hear more about, everything's modifiable or adaptable. It just needs, you may need assistance in that, and someone like myself is the best person to help guide you through those processes. Now, I understand there's also not one size fits all approach, and so therefore what works for somebody may not work for another person. And these are just disclaimers that I need to make as a functional dietitian, because we get into that mindset of, oh, so-and-so followed this and it worked for them, but I'm doing it and nothing's happening. So it's really important to understand that we're all individuals, we're all unique, we all have different DNA. So therefore, there are many different approaches, and they can be modified to suit you as an individual. All right, so when we're talking from a dietary perspective, it may come to no surprise that a diet full of refined sugars, processed foods, and other inflammatory foods can lead to mitochondrial problems, as well as oxidative stress and also disease in general. Therefore, adopting a nutrient-rich nutrition strategy can absolutely improve your mitochondrial function, while lowering inflammation in the body, as well as decreasing oxidative stress and damage, and also reducing just your overall risk of chronic health problems. The general dietary guidelines include avoiding inflammatory foods such as the refined sugar and carbohydrates, casein, poor quality fats, gluten to a certain degree, and again can be quite individualized, but gluten can be seen as pro-inflammatory, particularly for the gastrointestinal tract, and artificial ingredients as well, such as artificial sweeteners, additives, and so forth. Eat plenty of nutrient-rich foods, specifically nutrient-rich greens, herbs, fruits and vegetables with multiple colours that are packed in vitamins and minerals, and also antioxidants as well. Sulfur-rich vegetables are especially nourishing for the mitochondria, so try to include these as well. And these include things like cruciferous vegetables and also those green leafy vegetables as well. Things like cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, spinach, turnip, leeks, garlic and onions, as well as mushrooms and asparagus. So these guys are really rich in sulfur. These can play havoc for some people who have some gastrointestinal disorders or who might have some IBS-related symptoms. So just proceed with caution with these type of foods. And if they're going to be causing bloating, gas, constipation or even diarrhea, then it might be time to reassess if that is something your body can actually tolerate. You should also focus on healthy fats such as grass-fed butter, coconut oil, avocados, nuts and seeds, extra virgin olive oil, as well as MCT oil and free-range eggs can be really beneficial as well. If you do eat meat, make sure that you choose clean proteins, lean proteins, such as grass-fed beef, free-range poultry, so chicken and turkey, wild-caught salmon, and even wild game meat can be really beneficial as well. Additionally, consuming organ meats are awful, and which is not well liked, I understand. But these foods are things like liver, kidney, even bones, like bone broth, heart, tongue, intestinal meat, even brains, and also tendons. And these can be really, really beneficial for mitochondrial health, particularly heart meat, which I know is not regularly or frequently consumed, and it is an acquired taste, but heart meat is extremely rich in nutrients, particularly coenzyme Q10, which is extremely beneficial for mitochondrial function and output. When it comes to fluids, obviously staying well hydrated is very important for cellular health, which is what we're trying to do in the first place. So choose water as your first source of fluid, but also green tea. Consumption of green tea can be extremely beneficial because it contains a lot of resveratrol and also flavonoids, which is a group of phytonutrients. And flavonoids help to protect against chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, cancers, and even metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. So incorporating green tea throughout your day can also be very, very beneficial. So I always get asked, is there a particular or specific dietary protocol that improves mitochondrial health? Well, yes. Through research, it has shown that the much touted ketogenic or keto diet can provide potent health benefits. And this the core of this diet is consuming high levels of fat and low levels of carbohydrates. And eating in this way shifts the body's preferred fuel to ketones instead of glucose or glycogen. And altered eating patterns such as fasting and intermittent fasting will cause your body to use these ketones as a fuel source. So we need to take that into consideration. Now, a ketogenic diet has also been shown to slow the progression of mitochondrial disease, providing you with more energy, slowing the aging process, and reducing the risk of chronic diseases. However, it is important to note that following a ketogenic diet long term may have some negative effects unless it's for a chronic health condition. And this is specific to the gastrointestinal health. So we know that fiber is extremely important for good gut health and our microbiome. And therefore, following a ketogenic diet, which is low in carbohydrates in general, which is where we find a lot of these fibers, is going to play havoc on the gut long term. And high-fat diets have become popular for improving metabolic flexibility, but there is still a debate about how mitochondria respond to a long-term high-fat diet. And a continuous overload of one nutrient, like fat in this instance, can result in mitochondrial dysfunction and reduced metabolic flexibility. So there still needs to be more research to confirm this, but as just to err on the side of caution, if you are going to follow a ketogenic diet, maybe try to be a little bit more flexible with how you do that and prescribe it in your day-to-day life. Also, you must understand that not all fats are created equal in this sense. So research shows that polyunsaturated omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in the right balance are beneficial for the mitochondria because they help reduce reactive oxygen species production. Now, I have talked about reactive oxygen species in other videos, or ROSs in short, so go back and listen and watch this, because these are the guys that create oxidative stress in the body and then cause DNA damage. Processed fats like trans fatty acids, for example, increase the production of these reactive oxygen species in the mitochondria. So therefore, it's important to make sure that these are consumed in low quantities or avoided at all costs. Healthy fats to consume to help promote this, though, promote health and reduce oxidative damage and stress, include things like coconut or MCT oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, grass-fed ghee, raw nuts and seeds, and also coconut milk is okay as well. I did mention briefly that intermittent fasting can also improve mitochondrial health, and the reason being is because when you fast, damaged mitochondria are purged through a process called autophagy. And it's really important to know that this process plays a role, an essential role, mind you, in the mitochondria, and also, more importantly, maintaining or preserving the mitochondria. The process of autophagy helps mitochondria to remove damaged and unwanted debris, and this is accumulated through the reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, and then therefore they become harmful in its effects and its role in the body. So therefore, fasting can really help promote the selective degradation of the damaged mitochondria. So research has shown that caloric restriction and fasting with improved mitochondrial function, better health, and increased longevity can play a long-term role and improvement on mitochondrial function in general. So the scientific way that this occurs is that the fasting can reduce the byproducts of oxidative stress and increase oxygen efficiency while maintaining vital ATP production. And that's everything that we're about here when trying to improve and optimize mitochondrial function. It's the ATP production and output. Now, some people find extended fasting quite uncomfortable and challenging, and it could also be really harmful for people who experience hypoglycemia, so low blood sugar levels, hormone imbalances, or even chronic health conditions related to stress. So therefore, it may not be beneficial for these type of people. However, intermittent fasting may be better in these circumstances. And if you've watched my videos specifically on intermittent fasting, you'll know that I prefer the 16-8 method, which is fasting for 16 hours and then having an eating window for 8 hours. And this can be done to a time frame that is suitable to you and that you prefer, but that is the preferred method over, say, the 5-2 dietary protocol. But intermittent fasting I do advocate for in certain circumstances and can be sustainable as well on a daily basis. Now I want to shift to the nutrients and even supplements that can improve mitochondrial health. And supportive nutrients and supplements, for doing so, they do it in a way in the fact that they focus on many different bodily process or supportive processes for the mitochondria. And these processes include building bigger mitochondria, and also building more mitochondria, as well as repairing and protecting the cell membranes, providing cofactors to assist with mitochondrial cellular energy production, providing or recharging nicotinamide adenine, sorry, let me say that again, big words, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, or as we call it for short, NAD. And this is critical in regulating the mitochondrial energy production. So NAD is something that I may use to or supplement with other factors to support NAD production, which in turn supports mitochondrial health. And then finally, another bodily process is building up mitochondrial internal defense system. And this is known as the Nrf2 pathway. And basically, there are a lot of antioxidants throughout this pathway to build up that defense system. So anytime that you hear or we talk about defense mechanisms, we're talking about the immune regulation. So therefore, antioxidants play a really important role in this response. So now that we know the specific pathways or the specific processes that the body must go through in order to improve mitochondrial health, we then need to look at the nutrients that are responsible in general or responsible as a cofactor to help with the output of mitochondria. So these nutrients include phospholipids, astaxanthin, which is the red pigment in prawns, salmon, krill, and various other seafoods as well. We also have Panax ginseng. There is also cordyceps, which is a medicinal mushroom that has been traditionally used in Eastern medicine or Chinese medicine for thousands of years, but cordyceps plays a really important role. Creatine monohydrate is also something that might be music to a lot of your ears, because it is used in a lot of resistance training or strength training and also endurance training as well. So creatine has a good benefit to mitochondrial health. Nitrates, and these are naturally produced in a variety of foods, specifically beetroot, leafy greens and the cruciferous vegetables. And these break down to nitric oxide. And I've talked about this in my previous videos and how nitric oxide plays a really important role for supporting blood circulation and therefore promoting more energy. Coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10 is a molecule that is found in mitochondria and has a critical role in energy production. So anyone who knows me knows that I love CoQ10, or its more bioactive form, ubiquinol, and it can be very beneficial as a supplement to people with mitochondrial dysfunction, but also people who might suffer things like mast cell activation syndrome or other inflammatory processes. But also just to improve the aging process alone, CoQ10 is absolutely paramount. Other nutrients that are important is D-ribose, which is a special type of sugar that is required to create energy and DNA. Rhodiola, I love rhodiola in supplementation. Spirulina, and we've also got more well-known ones such as complex B vitamins, magnesium, resveratrol, alpha-lipoic acid, and then we've also got acetyl-L-carnitine, N-acetylcysteine, or NAC for short, and also curcumin, or in the food sense, turmeric. A very, very potent anti-inflammatory agent and also antioxidant as well. So, as you can see, there is a long list of nutrients that play a role in optimizing mitochondrial output, and all have a different function within the body. This just reiterates the importance of having a varied diet that is packed full of these nutrients. And it also may be of benefit for some people to supplement with these nutrients on top of a nutrient-rich diet. However, it's important to seek guidance from a practitioner in this sense and not to ask Dr. Google or even self-prescribe, because what you might find is that you might prescribe something to yourself that you don't actually need, or it might actually be consumed in high levels where there's toxicity, and that's going to cause issues in general with inflammation and then also affect the mitochondria. So it's really important that we address someone's diet, but also their lifestyle and any health conditions to know what specific supplements are required in that sense. So I hope you've learned something throughout this video. In my next video in this energy series, I'm going to be talking about other environmental and lifestyle ways to help support your mitochondria, but also from an environmental aspect, what might cause your, some mitochondrial dysfunction as well. And therefore, this will tie this series together nicely, and hopefully you will have the tools and also the education to know what you can be doing to really improve and optimize your mitochondria. So if you've got any questions, as always, please comment below and I will happily answer them for you.